Welcome to Ellie Goldsmith's Relationship Flow. We are focused on the Intimacy Relationship Flow series, and we will continue today. A little bit of a harder one today, being the current situation, and personally a lot of stuff going on that hopefully we'll get into in a way that's purposeful for you. Everything we speak about here is not just for myself, it's therapeutic for sure to talk through stuff going on, but it's really to help us all clarify more and more the intimate flow that we experience in our relationships, that they should become more enhanced, more enjoyable, more empowered. We should love our relationships and look forward to spending time with people that we can be, well, specifically our soulmates, that we can be intimate with. Sorry for the noise around me, I'm just in our office. So we can really focus in on this on a daily level, on a weekly level, and it's something which we are all gifted to develop. So hopefully the noise around you won't, confuse anyone listening in, but we're going to now delve into something which hopefully will improve and enhance everything that we've been speaking about the previous weeks. As once I remember Tony Robbins bringing this up, and I know this as a fact based on Kabbalistic, mystical, foundational truths, that the emotional realm of intimacy is 90% of everything that's going on. That's the way that Tony Robbins explains it, and I think he's correct based on mystical universal principles of truth. That the bridge point, the meeting point between husband and wife is Dibur, is how we speak to each other, how we're there on emotional level, even though there's 10% other things like spiritual connection and the physical connection, the attraction and all those things. I do believe on an inner level, and we'll talk about that hopefully in our other podcasts, which this week we've put on hold just because it was the Chag of Matan Torah, of receiving our Torah. And over there you see the importance of many, foundational principles, especially in the 10 Commandments. And there is a 10 Commandments of marriage, which I recommend everyone checking out, from Rav Avigdor Miller. He's someone who's of a quite strong, opinion out there in terms of his path. But on this point, on the 10 Commandments of marriage, it was something I think everybody could gain from. I mean, I had it already on my site. Let me just see if I still have it here, because I did send it to someone who I know is needing help in that aspect. No, I don't see it on my site, but I'll mention it briefly at some point, maybe even today. Let's see if I can locate it online. Let's try again. 10. Oh yes, it's already in my search. Google's amazing. And we'll start listing off some of them, because I think it's something which is so relevant right now. But before we get into Rabbi Avigdor Miller's important foundational principles in marriage, we want to focus in on the emotional level, and that is where we all have a struggle. Like everybody right now, everyone in the world is being pressured in some way or another, either through technology or through financial reasons, or from the corona challenge, the epidemic. I mean, there's nobody who's not been challenged during this last year and a half or so on some level. And I think it's all obviously an opportunity for growth, as we've spoken in our Unity Flow podcast, and is our future podcast. We're still going ahead with bookings, and we're still trying to develop all our classes online and the opportunity to connect. And we have the United Souls course and book, all the good things we're doing. But at the same time, these are opportunities that but on an emotional level, there's been a toll. There's been some sort of trauma, and that affects our intimate experience. That we spoke about in the previous class, how important it is to bond together and to be emotionally supportive is what our focus is today. I do think, though, that if we put into place certain foundational principles, goals, values, systems in our mind and heart that will protect us from nullifying that emotional connection, that healthy emotional connection, then we will be able to develop the correct healthy emotional connection with the right boundaries and the positive kind of emotions that's needed for marriage to flourish, for intimacy to flourish. And to remember that, when you're intimate, that the emotional level has to always be the priority. The goal of marriage is to become a giver, especially for the mashpia in the relationship, the one who's now giving over. It's it's not to be manipulative, not to get what you can get, but to actually give on a pure level. That is a godly attribute that humanity has ability to be, as a pure giver, to be truly altruistic and care about the person in your life. Look, I'm talking about something which I'm struggling with on a daily level. I'm not talking about something which I've conquered, and especially right now, personally, it's like right outside my window is the street where this whole crisis started. I'm sitting at my office, but it's a place which, is a border, and where I live, on the border of where everything's happened by Kevish Shimon Asadik, Nachal Shimon, or some other name. The point is that where this has all taken place, we have had riots, and the whole street, it smells of gas, and these kind of external things going on around you can sort of unsettle you emotionally. And not only that, when you see the explosion online, I've been asked now by a podcaster in London to provide research information, because I'm noticing that all that he's getting is pro one side. I don't want to mention anything political on this Relationship Flow podcast, but it's all one-sided, and that's what's happening again on the media as well. And it's taking away a certain rational, logical ability to discuss and develop, and it's turning into negative rioting and a lot of not positive experiences for anyone who just turns on the internet or looks outside the window here in Jerusalem and sees what's going on with the amount of soldiers now on the streets, and the effect it's had on just life functioning normally. Like, my family have had to cancel their flights to Israel, and it's very upsetting for me emotionally, and that I haven't seen my family for a year and a half. My in-laws have hardly seen, and emotionally you can feel very drained, trying to give to children, trying to develop content online that's positive and uplifting, and trying to develop your brand and your mission in this world. And it's something which is can be very difficult. So we'll go into the 10 Commandments of Rabbi Avigdor Miller, just to give us that guideline so that we can get this emotional support in place. The first one, he says, is be realistic. I think that's like, for our generation, being authentic and real is the key. And we have to be realistic, that life is ups and downs and challenging, and it's not going to be endless enjoyment. It's not going to be some Hollywood movie back in the day. Now we've seen really what Hollywood is, so that illusion is gone. But be realistic. Do not disrupt the routine of marriage. That's the second one. Do not disrupt that important schedule of being married, of being times to connect, times to eat, times to be intimate, times to separate in a positive way, in a friendship way. That there's separation time in a marriage through the halachas, through the laws of nida and other things, and this is all the routine of marriage, which is healthy, which is an important part of life, and in married life should never be interrupted, says Avigdor Miller. Make peace. That's the third one. The make peace. Do not let the quarrels and let the arguments to go on and on. Like, we have a special prayer we say at the end of the day to forgive everybody, to really forgive, to really cleanse our relationship on a daily level before we go to bed, and that gives us ability through making peace to strengthen the relationship. Never say the word get is the fourth one. I mean, obviously we're going over these very quick. He gave a whole hour-long class on this, and maybe a few hour-long classes, but never say the word get. Get means divorce. Don't bring up the word divorce, because really it's denying the fact that you're married, because that you were married for a reason. Now, if you need to have a divorce, obviously nowadays that's something which is very much talked about, and 100% a person needs to do that process of divorce in a healthy way with guidance and for sure go through that process, because that's part of the Torah, part of our reality, that divorce is something which is accepted and needed for many abusive relationships or things that are going not well in a real way, but to just say the word when you're in a marriage of potential positivity or you're just having a hard moment, to use that word, it's not any divorce, just weakens the whole foundation that you have to maintain. And that goes into the fifth one, which is to be loyal. The fifth commandment is to be loyal. Obviously, we all know what that is, and nowadays to be loyal with our heart, with our eyes. There's so much online, lack of loyalty to really just focus in on the person who's been put in our life and to be loyal to them in all ways. And these are all things we need to work on. To never say I hate you, that's the sixth commandment. To never say I hate you. You should not say to the person that you're ugly or anything like really offensive, because unfortunately things are not forgotten, and no matter what, you always have to see the beauty that, just like when you were married, the original day of the chuppah, of the wedding, that has to be there. Love your neighbor as yourself. We know that the seventh commandment of marriage is also connected to the mitzvah, which the whole Torah goes into. The whole Torah is included in this one mitzvah of loving our fellow human being, and I think that is something which just that in itself, for example, being emotionally there for someone is in itself part of the mitzvah of loving of your neighbor as yourself. To really, as much as you need emotional support, which we all need nowadays more than ever, so too we have to be supportive for the other person and support them, and that's something which I know I need to work on more. So to really love, to get that mitzvah fully achieved is a lifetime's work, and it's something which will only enhance our relationship, especially on the emotional level. Display your regard for your mate. That's number 8. Yeah, you should always, that means your soulmate, you should always give certain respect and say good things about them, and to build their personality. Maintain your appearance. So that number 9, that sounds a bit more of an external one, but we know that we all have, thank God, ability to look our best. How we dress doesn't mean to be like into brands and fancy, wasteful ways of life. It means to just be respectful and at least on some levels attracting to the other person, that we know what they like. Certain things my wife likes if I do, certain things with my hair and my beard and my shirts and how I dress, and she's already made it very clear over the years what she wants. So that's up to me to now maintain that need of hers, which is a real need. And obviously men have their needs as well, so you just have to be real about that on emotional level and how you present yourself, because it does make a difference. Number 10, do not be a tyrant. So this is the last one, and I think that this is pretty clear, but one of the issues is people like to rule over each other nowadays, which is a very big mistake. And I think that we all need to stop doing that on every level. We're not trying to control anyone. That need to control is a complete mistake. It doesn't lead to any happiness, fulfillment or joy in this world. Controlling people in your company, controlling people around you. You can communicate and you can be real about your needs, but to not control, to not tyrant people, that's which has caused so much pain and suffering in this world. So I think that's a very good list that we just read. It's based on a site that paraphrased it, but obviously to go to the real source. But the point is, on an emotional level, I know myself that being emotionally supportive, especially right now with all the trauma going on in the world, the current crisis, you see all these very shocking images, and there's sirens, and there's a lot of things going on right now. If you live in the Holy Land, it's sort of beyond words, the craziness on the media. And what we have to do is be there for each other. We have to now more than ever be emotionally supportive for the people we love, for our wives, for our children, for our husbands, for a woman, and for the people in our larger family, the grandparents, the grandchildren, the cousins, aunties, aunts, uncles, all the different people around us, and to be there for the larger community, and for all our friends, and even for the people who seem to be on the other side. One of the things I'm doing personally, I'll talk about it more once it's more clarified, but I'm reaching out to other people, not just Jewish, but all kinds of people in the world about this current situation, and trying to come with some sort of unity focus on a larger level, not just on a Jewish level. And that's for me one of my missions. But it really, the deep point is that we need to be emotionally supportive. Hashem, God, the creator of the world, made us in his image and wants us to be godly like him, so we can have that connection, that oneness, that unification, that united souls experience that really fulfill our purpose in this world, and to spiritualize this world, and to spiritualize our relationship and intimacy. That's going to take a lot of inner truth of being soulful and loving and caring and having positive emotional attributes. And if we don't have them completely, which I know I don't, we have to work on them and keep working on them and never give up. It's a life's journey. It's one of the reasons we're here in the world, just to fix some of these attributes that aren't so positive, to become more loving, more caring, more sensitive, more validating, and more empathetic. All these things that people know nowadays are so important. We have to bring it into our intimate relationships. No good just putting on a show, like signaling externally to the world that we're doing these things, but to actually do it with, and the person who we're married to or our children, they know if we're really doing it or not, and they call us out, and that's good, and we should listen to that and grow from it. So please God, everyone should have a beautiful end to the week here in Israel. It's coming up to already Shabbat, Parshas Naso. It's a special time of unity in the Parsha, with all the tribes bringing their offering, and there's the Birkas Kohanim, which I'm a Kohen, I'm a priest, and it has in there the special blessing of Shalom. It's actually one of my wife's favorite songs from Avram Fried is the Birkas Kohanim, and she married a Kohen. She always wanted to marry a Kohen, and she's a Bas Levi. So we have the opportunity to bring that legacy that we have in our home to you through sharing that love and that light and that peace and that Shalom. And those kind of attributes will hopefully infuse our relationships with true intimacy and emotional support that brings us to our beautiful Shabbat Shalom, that disconnect to reconnect, climax to the week, so that we can, even if we can't be physically intimate, we can be emotionally intimate and be there for each other and have blessings in everything we do. Amen. Please share your relationship flow and check out all the links below and our growing Relationship Flow podcast and blog. Thank you for joining us today. Share this on. All the best.